So, hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Kate Truitt, and I am so excited to be back here again with Damien Gonsalves. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist at our group, Dr. Kate Truitt and Associates, and he has many wonderful areas of expertise, and including working with addiction, complex trauma, EMDR, utilizing havening, of course, ACT, DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. I mean, we can go on and on with all the amazing tools that Damien uses. And he is joining us today to talk with us and share with us about a specific tool that I particularly love. And this is the gratitude and wins exercise. Now, Damien, could you just take a moment and share with us what that exercise looks like, how it works?
Sure. A gratitude list, wins list, it's basically looking at a gratitude list, but it's also looking at the wins. And another way to look at it is kind of noticing not just what you're grateful for, but also what your wins are. Because a lot of times gratitude is for things that are so far outside of yourself. But then when you look at wins, you kind of also bring it back to yourself.
Mm. Yeah, well, and we have the gratitude list exercise. And for those of you who aren't familiar, I'll link it below. And I love this exercise that you've created so much because it does come back to self. And it's so easy for us to forget to check in and be grateful for the things that we do. So Damien, who do you recommend this exercise to?
Kate, I think anybody can really use this exercise and benefit from doing the exercise. A lot of people that when I kind of got familiar with it was initially as a gratitude list, but
Mhm.
it's through all the practice and all the work that I've done and doing it with clients, something that kind of really kind of came onto my radar was the wins. And they became separate lists. And it's like, how can we combine them together? And I think havening is a tool that everything kind of comes back together again. Everything, it's the whole reframing part, which I think really, really makes it land with a lot of people. I know a lot of people that do 12 steps are doing gratitude lists for their sponsors when they kind of come in and get clean or get sober or dealing with any kind of maladaptive coping skill that they need to start to recognize things outside of themselves. People in therapy, definitely clients that I work with are recommended to do it every single week, one of the two lists, if not both.
Mhm.
And I think anyone that's just kind of looking to kind of get more in centered with themselves and grounded can really
And I,
benefit.
yeah, and I love that you brought in that cognitive behavioral therapy, that reframing piece. So,
Mhm.
can you share with us a little bit more about the wins aspect? Because that is just such a unique additional ingredient here and so powerful.
Yeah, wins are more or less when a lot of times when people want to know their progress or how am I doing with therapy, like, what's moving, what's not moving. And a lot of times we kind of go into therapy or go into something because we're looking at a goal.
Mm.
And everyone always sometimes measure that by like, where the goal is and where they are, but they're looking at that space in between of
Mm.
everything that needs to happen in between. When I measure progress or with clients, I measure it back. Okay, where did we start and where are we now? Because that way there's something substantial that they can kind of link into. So I think noticing wins, and it could be big wins, small wins, mindful, whatever kind of things that they want to notice as a win. I think it could be, hey, I like, I got an interview for a job. Great. It's not about getting the job. It's like, what about the interview?
Mm. Mhm.
It's some for some people, I got out of bed today. It could be really that is such a big win for them. For some people dealing with like a lot of depression, or I was walking down the street and I noticed there was a little ladybug sitting on a flower petal, things that you wouldn't notice. It could be something really small and delicate, or it could be something more larger and substantial. But again, it's the progress in between, because just it's not the ladybug, it's not the job interview or the getting out of bed. It's everything, the win is everything between the one, the hopefully established goal.
Yeah. Well, I love what you just said there. It's the progress in between, right? Those the mindful steps and even that self-awareness to notice the little ladybug.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to hear how there's the opportunity for some affirmations coming on board here. And so, how do you weave in that affirmative part?
Usually when we go through gratitude lists and win lists, we start with havening. I'm always bringing in havening because again, it's like all the dopamine, all the calming of the systems, getting your feet kind of getting grounded. And I make them read the gratitude list. And rather than a grocery list where they're just like naming things off, I will ask them to go through things one by one, top of the list to the bottom of the list. Blank is, today I'm grateful for blank. And then not the entire list, but today I'm grateful for A, today I'm grateful for B, today I'm grateful for C.
Mm.
And go through the entire thing while havening at the same time. So they're calming themselves and they start to really kind of focus in on these things that they're grateful for. And that's for the first round. And for the second round, I like to go from the bottom up. So rather than going on automatic of what these things are, and now we're going to go into today, or I am mindful of blank. I am mindful of B. I am mindful of C. They're going through things again from the bottom to the top of the list again, where they're mindful of these things, bringing in the mindfulness piece while of course havening. And then for the final part, I like to say, blank is a win, or I could use blank as a gift, something else. So they've done it up and down and up, and so they're going through it bottom to top, backwards and forwards is usually a good way to really land on all those things. And rather than just saying them, that they're really being aware of everything that they're saying.
Yeah, I love the mental rehearsal, right? That's neuroplasticity for the win. What are we teaching our brain to pay attention to?
Mm-hmm.
That idea of going down the list and then back up the list and back down the list, saying, brain, this matters, with all of those little reframes.
Mm-hmm.
So smart, so clever.
Yeah. Also, if you think about the havening,
Mm-hmm.
you're going up and then you're going, down. You're completely doing, different things back and forth. So again, it's getting all those things. And also what I love also is it puts that something in the front of their brain as everything goes to the back to the front, as we're trying to like, get over Amy and get to the prefrontal cortex and getting all that, the delta wave, contacting that. What's on the other side? Is a sunset? Is a roof over my head? Is, you know, any of these little gifts or any of these wins that we have, those are the things that we're kind of like, not just like reaching towards them. These are things that we have. These are things that we've been doing. These are things that we're paying attention to.
And as you just highlighted, that kind of helping Amy in the amygdala is when she's running the show. If we're anxious or worried or uncertain or depressed or scared, we're not able to access that thinking brain. And
Right.
this mental rehearsal plus the havening touch is saying, hey, Amy, don't forget, this is here too.
Right.
And I know that's such a big part of dialectical and behavioral therapy, that titration. We can hold both parts of it together.
Right. There's also another list which kind of came into the room for me a couple of years ago. It was right around the start of the pandemic where everyone was just really feeling heavy and really feeling isolated and really separated. And people were like, we're having trouble putting together gratitude lists, or I'd start to have them see the same things that they were just trying to like, reuse the same things. And I'm like, why don't we just do a crappy list? Let's call it what it is. And we're going to do a crappy list. And it's like, why don't we go through the whole list? Blank is crappy, A is crappy, B is crappy, C is crappy. And just giving that putting some words to it rather than stuffing that down. And then I'm mindful of blank A, B, C, D. I'm mindful of these things. And for those that are feeling really kind of daring, I'd say, what about doing a different kind of reframe? What about for the third one? Why don't we say, I'm aware of blank and I'm okay? And that's really bringing in the DBT piece. I'm aware of blank and I'm okay. These two separate things that they're holding at the same time. It's not in the opposite way. It's not saying, I'm okay with this crappy thing. It's being able to hold both of those experiences. And a lot of times when they're able to do that, I notice that their SUDS, subjective units of distress just start to go down. Like if they're coming in at a 5 and they're going down to a 0 or 1, because they've been able to acknowledge anything and also notice, hey, you know what? I'm okay.
Right. And when we're in it, it can feel so big and overwhelming. And it's incredible the power of just giving voice, that acknowledgement. And then also going, and you're sitting here right now. So this is happening, and we're also breathing right here, right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that additional piece. And especially in the pandemic, when there was so much uncertainty early on and unknowingness, just that permission. And I think that's one of the things, I mean, I've known you for quite some time now, but it's so amazing and unique about the work that you do is creating permission and an honoring of the fact that these horrible, painful things have happened across the course of somebody's life.
Right.
And acknowledging that there's all of these things that they have done to survive, from these painful relationship patterns or substances, the whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
And now going, hey, yeah, that's not working for you anymore. And we get it. And it's okay. Now let's go create opportunities, wins,
Right, which are there, and
which are
identify
there.
those. And they can also, again, rather than pushing things up, like down in, they can
Mm-hmm.
finally let it out. They can release
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Be held in that safe
Mhm.
space.
Right.
So when do you recommend that people do this specific exercise?
Anytime I think is good. When I started working on my own gratitude win lists, I started, kind of years ago. I would do it at the end of the day,
Mm,
and I would always have somebody that I would check in with,
mm,
and I would have to call them and like, here's my gratitude list, here's my
mm,
win list, and would have to read all of those things through. Just here's the list. And I started kind of small. I started with 6 things, and I couldn't figure out what else to put on it. And then I eventually bought a couple of house plants and gave them names to put them onto the list, just
mm,
as a way to kind of get it going, kind of keep things moving. And then even if the person wasn't there, I would just call them, leave them a voicemail, and just be able to list those things. I had to check through those every single day. And that was just for my own accountability
mhm.
of doing it. So I would try to get it done by the end of the day. Sometimes I'd do them in the morning. I would do them really anytime, or sometimes having just a slip of paper with me, and I'd notice a couple things in my day and
Yeah.
be like, you know what? I had a really nice walk to work this morning, or,
Mm.
ate a really good muffin, or, someone held the door for me on the subway, some little thing or something that I would do for someone else.
Right. Right. And I love the sharing of it element actually neurobiologically makes it more powerful in our mind because we're not in it alone. We're designed for community. And so it's
Right.
inviting somebody else to participate actively. And I know that's a lot of the work that you do with your clients. You
Mhm.
invite them to be very proactive in this accountability piece.
Yeah, I think, self-advocation is so huge.
Mhm.
It's so big. And a lot of times we're doing things and we do a lot of our work in silence, or we're doing everything alone. The pandemic has kind of put up all these kind of walls and barriers around us. And I think kind of just opening up and being able to do things for yourself and being
Mm,
able to do things with other people any way that you can kind of engage or take care of yourself in that way, I think is hugely important.
absolutely. So when should people get started on this?
Now, like whenever you're ready. I think whenever you're ready, whenever you want to start to notice different things in your life, whenever you want to start to like let go of the stuff that doesn't work and start opening yourself up to maybe try it, try it for a week and get somebody else involved in it. Maybe I know a lot of people that have one other person that they talk to, and they each have to share at least 3 gratitude or wins like every day. You know, sometimes I ask clients to do 10 in a week, and if they're doing like wins, maybe it's 7 wins, And for a while, when they're really needing support, I will be like, I want to win every single day. One thing every day. You're going to email me that win. I may not respond to it. Doesn't mean I'm not reading. So
Yeah.
they would be able to go through their day in a more mindful way, to be like, what was a win today? Or think, what was that thing today? What was that one thing that happened? What was that one step forward that I noticed from where I was?
Yeah. Yeah. Spotlighting that pie, spotlighting the muffin.
Mm-hmm.
That muffin happened,
Mm-hmm.
which is teaching our brain to find those little magical moments every day.
Right. And I think it was the famous words of like Mae West. She said, "You only live once, but you only need once if you do it right."
And on that inspirational note, we'll end there. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Damien.
Cool.
this is just such a phenomenal exercise, and really would like to encourage our listeners, leave some comments or some questions below, or if you like this, share this video. And of course, Damien is a clinician in our practice and taking clients. So if this feels like the type of work you want to do more of or go deeper with, give us a call. You'll find our website linked below as well. And it's just an honor being part of everybody's journey, and Damien, especially a part of yours. Thank you.
Yeah.